call the York County Council January 3rd, 2023 meeting to order, where the Honorable Tom Ardette will give our invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, nurture the bonds of the community. May God bless all of us in 2023, and in Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we welcome everyone to 2023, once again, we'll say Happy New Year to everyone. Good to see everyone come out. Can everyone hear back there? Are the mics on? Well, that was a resounding no. Can we turn the microphones up? So at this time, once again, we'll welcome everybody to County Council meeting, January 3rd, 2023. At this time, we'll take nominations for our County Council Chair. Are there any nominations?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Christy Cox for chair.
We have a nomination. Any more? Nominations closed. And since there's, well, we'll say all in favor of Christy Cox remaining chair, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone object? The ayes have it. We have a new and remaining council chairperson, Ms. Christy Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Roddy, and thank you to the council for having the confidence to allow me to serve a new term. And I promise you that I will do everything in my power to make sure that you are informed and that we all are on the same page when we move ahead with county business. At this time, do we have any nominations for vice chair?
I'll nominate the Honorable Allison Love.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any other nominations? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Congratulations to Ms. Love.
Get your stuff. Move on over.
A little bit of musical chairs, just a little bit.
The music, though. But we know what song.
She's pointing at you.
David Allen.
Oh, yeah.
Allison, would you like to say anything before we?
I would just like to say thank you all. I'm looking forward to working with Christy and our new council members. Congratulations to Debbie and Tommy, and it's going to be a happy new year. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. And I will just we just moved over from the courthouse, and we have got 2 new members. The people have spoken very loudly in both of their districts, as they did in Bump's district as well. Want to welcome you both here tonight. We're glad that you're here. If there's anything that you'd like to say, I'll certainly give you a few minutes.
You go first.
What? My nerves is more than yours. I'm a little shaky. Y'all look different out here from this viewpoint. Go ahead.
I just wanted to, again, thank everybody for supporting me through the campaign, through the election, and tonight, as a matter of fact, coming and seeing the swearing in. It was very emotional, very memorable. It truly is something that I don't think I'll ever forget. And everyone that was there in support of me, they had a special place in my campaign from day one. And I just am so thrilled to be representing District 7. This is a new district formed, and the first time that this area has had a dedicated voice. And as I said over there, they asked for it, they got it, and it's going to be great. As Allison said, it's going to be a great year.
I'd like to thank everybody that supported me, and Y'all be patient with me a little, cause it's a different, I'm used to running my mouth, but not in this floor mat. And I wanted to ask Robert, does it feel different sitting, looking this way?
We welcome you to council. Mr. Roddy, you just won your election. Would you like to say something?
I was wondering if I was gonna get an opportunity. Well, I'll just say, thank you everybody for coming out once again. Looking forward to a happy new year, a prosperous new year. And we're just gonna keep doing things the right way in York County. I think we have a wonderful, group of people that represents all facets of York County, all different interests across the board. I don't think an interest will be left out, once this seat is filled and we have 7 members. We have a special place in York County. I've said it, and wherever I go, I tell people I'm from York County, and they always ask me, how's it to live in York County? I tell them, you just gotta move here to see it. But maybe too many people are moving here, but we have a really good thing going on here. I enjoy my colleagues, and I look forward to the next 4 years. Let's do what we can to make sure we satisfy the people.
And I'll just say, I'm very excited about this council and what we're going to do in 2023. We have so much to be thankful for, and this county has so many blessings, and I just see good things, all good things coming. So we'll move on to business. Our first item is oath of office for newly appointed boards and commission members. Is Mr. Ray Weber here for the Lake Wylie Marine Commission? If you'll come forward, and our attorney will come around and meet you at the front. You can come up a little bit further and stand up at the mic, and we want to thank you for your service on behalf of all the council. We want to thank you for agreeing to serve. In this capacity, we can't do the work of the people without having good boards and commission members, and you rarely get thanked, and you certainly don't get paid. So we're thanking you tonight, and we appreciate your service.
Thank you. Thank you. I do solemnly swear that I am duly qualified, according to the Constitution of this state, to exercise the duties of this office to which I have been appointed. And I will, to the best of my ability, discharge the duties thereof. Preserve, protect, and defend. Defend the Constitution of this state and the United States. So help me God. Thank you.
Thank you again, Mr. Weber, for serving. We move now to, we have no appearances tonight, but we do have public forum session. Just a reminder that if you have signed up to speak, if you would please come forward when your name is called. You will have 2 minutes to speak to the council, and this is an opportunity for us to listen to you. We don't answer questions, but we do listen to what constituents have to say about county business. We ask that you keep your comments to county business items. So first up on the list is Dr. Norma Gray.
Good evening, Madam Chair, and congratulations on being reappointed as chair, and to co-chair as well. And to the newest members of City Council, congratulations on this seat that you now hold, and congratulations to Councilman Roddy on being re-elected. I've stood here before to speak to council, so this face get used to, because I'll be here often. I came tonight on behalf of the constituents, Dr. Norma Gray, 407 Marshall Street, Rock Hill, South Carolina. And I came tonight on behalf of my constituents, which is the Get Clear Social Justice Network. And I know that the job and the task that the community, those who elected you, is not an easy job. But one of the things that we are concerned about in this York County that is growing so exponentially and that people want to flock to, and that is affordable housing. The last time I stood before you all was in favor of an affordable housing project that is being built in York County, and I did take away a lot of the things that was said by some of the sitting council members at that particular time. I'm asking, as you consider housing developments that are going up for affordable housing, that you take very seriously those developments and consider York County residents that cannot afford to live here, that they work here, but they cannot afford to live here. As we are developing, please keep in mind those residents that love York County, that want to remain residents here, but that cannot afford to live here. I love York County, always have as a little girl, but I remember a time that some of my relatives could not afford to live here. And so I'm asking you, as you consider these proposals, please keep affordable housing as a priority. And I thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, ma'am. Vincent Malico.
Do I state the address like I
Name
did
and address,
before?
please.
Sure.
Yeah.
Vincent Maloko, 975 McCaffrey Court. Okay. Today I'm here for the 22-47 for the rezoning, which would allow the entrances and exits from the McCaffrey Court project, where there's going to be a hearing later on in the month. It's important that we get this done so we can have a safe entrance and exit from the development. I do pizza delivery, and I see a lot of construction going on. I see a lot of areas that are being opened up for development all over the place. And I noticed on here that it said that it was voted deny 7-2 initially. And I'm wondering why there's so much construction going on out there and everything's getting approved, but this project just has so much opposition. I guess we'll get our answers eventually, but that's just a question that I have. And I just think that it's important to have this, because this will make the next project or that project safe for anybody that wants to go in and out of there because of the way the roads are right there. You're doing 55, you need some place to have a safe exit to turn off of the road with a time to brake and make a safe turns. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
One thing I did neglect to say at the outset is anyone who is here to speak about one of the public hearing items, you can wait until that point in time, and then you aren't limited to your 2 minutes, or you can take your 2 minutes and you can talk again. But I did want to let you know you are not limited if you want to speak at the public hearing when we get to that in the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
David Gant.
David Gant, 2150 Longfield Road. At this time, I'd like to defer my comments to a later time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. James Ware. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Jerry Dozier. I'm
just here to see if
for the rezoning. Okay. Someone scratched their name out. I'm just going to try to read it just in case it was an error. Gary Congolosi. You're good? Okay. All right. That concludes our public forum session. We move now to our consent agenda. Do we have a motion on consent agenda?
Move to approve. consent.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on consent agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, consent agenda is approved. We move now to our first public hearing, rezoning action. Let me put my glasses on. Rezoning action, hold a public hearing and consider first reading, case number 22-43, tax map number 437000040 portion, to rezone from AGC to RUD, 2 acres in District 5.
Good evening, council members. The applicant is requesting to rezone a 2-acre portion of their 13.3-acre parcel. You can see that on this aerial here. The area that is to be rezoned is in that blue rectangle, and the remainder parcel would be in the red. The applicant is proposing to eventually subdivide this new parcel off and create a new single-family home for a family member. Staff recommends approval of this rezoning request. It's mostly consistent with the comprehensive plan. I'll note the future land use map designation is agriculture, but this property is not currently being used for agricultural purposes, and RUD is consistent with large lot residential. And by a 9-0 vote, Planning Commission likewise recommends approval.
Thank you, Jonathan. Any questions for staff on this rezoning? All right. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak against this request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor?
Move to close.
Motion and a second to close public hearing. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, public hearing is closed. Do we have a new motion?
Motion. Second.
Motion and a second to approve. This is in my district, and I certainly support using the property for family structure, family building on that. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Move now to item number 2, rezoning action. Hold a public hearing and consider first reading, case number 22-45, tax map number 72300000046, to rezone from UD to LI 4 acres in District 1.
Yes, this is on Foothills Way, just off of Carowinds Boulevard. It's a 4-acre property. There is an existing metal fabrication operation on the site. They have an existing building that's there in the gray footprint, and they're proposing to build an additional structure, and that's there in red, and that would support the existing operations on the site. In the UD district, there are building design standards that do not apply in the light industrial district. So rather than having one building conform to design standards and one that does not, the applicant is seeking to rezone to LI, which is the true use of the property in light industrial, and that would therefore exempt them from the building design requirements.
Does anyone have any questions for staff?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not quite finished.
Oh, I'm sorry,
That's all right.
Jonathan.
Staff recommends approval of this rezoning request. It is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the future land use map, and it would also eliminate another legacy UD parcel and assign appropriate district for the existing use. And by a 9-0 vote, Planning Commission likewise recommends approval.
Any questions, Mr. Audette?
Yeah, so this is more of a comment here. I think that this, again, is a very good use of what they're moving towards to be able to support what their business is. So again, just a general comment.
Any other questions? Is there anyone here who wishes to speak against this rezoning? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor?
Move to close.
Second.
Motion and a second to close public hearing. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, public hearing is closed. Do we have a new motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Move now to item number 3, rezoning action. Hold a public hearing and consider first reading, case number 22-46, tax map number 50400000048, to rezone from RMX 20 to RUD 1, 33 acres in District 4.
So the applicant is requesting this zoning change from RMX 20 to RUD 1 in order to facilitate a future recombination of parcels. There's some family land. In order to recombine some of these parcels, they all need to be in the same zoning district, so this will be the first step in that process. Staff does recommend approval of the rezoning request. I'll point out it is not consistent with the comprehensive plan and the future land use map. You'll see that future land use designation is single-family residential, and this would be a down zoning away from that designation. However, this rezoning and the proposed recombination of the future do not preclude future development of single-family homes, and the low-intensity uses of large lot residential is compatible with the existing area. So staff recommends approval, and likewise by 9-0 vote, Planning Commission also recommends approval.
Any questions for staff?
Is there any, has there been any proposal, what they're gonna do with this?
You might see the adjacent property that's labeled RUD1 in the light green there to the east. I believe that is one of the parcels that they intend to recombine. They might restructure it so that there's 1 or 2 or 3 parcels that come out of that, but we have not seen a design of what those new lots would look like at this point. But that's the intent, is to have some recombination of the adjoining property.
Okay, I'll reach out to the applicant, get more details.
Any other questions? Is there anyone here who wishes to speak against? Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor?
Move to close. Oh.
You certainly can. You just come forward and state your name and address.
Sally Love, 201 King Ider Way in Taylor, South Carolina. We are requesting to rezone it, to combine it with an adjoining property that's in our family. And the plan is to divide this particular piece, these 33 acres, into 2 lots. And then we would take 5 acres out of this and combine it with the acreage next to it that is in our family. So that's what we're planning to do.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor?
Move to close.
Second.
Motion and a second to close public hearing. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, public hearing is closed. Do we have a new motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We move now to item number 4, public hearing, rezoning action. Hold a public hearing and consider first reading, case number 22-47, tax map number 446000065, a portion to rezone from general commercial to RMX 10.68 acres in District 3.
From the aerial here, you can see that the parcel is bifurcated by Highway 5. The applicant is seeking to rezone the portion that is south of the highway. That's that 0.68 acre portion from GC to RMX 10. This application is associated with previous rezoning that is currently being considered by council. It's been paused at this moment. So that's rezoning case 2203, and for those of you who were on council at that time during the summer, the proposal is for a manufactured home park expansion that would expand that park to 409 home sites. This application, because of the number of dwelling units that are associated with that application, they do require 2 entrances. So this is a sliver of land that separates that overall project from Highway 5, so they do need this rezoning in order to have a second entrance. And just for context with that surrounding area, this is what that overall project would look like. And due to the significant departure from what the comp plan calls for in this area, as part of council's motion to approve first reading, they did ask that the applicant come forward with a comprehensive plan amendment so that the plan could contemplate what this level of density would look like for the area going forward into the future. At this point in time, the applicant intends to speak at the public hearing for the comprehensive plan update. So rather than doing a separate amendment, they'd like to ask council to consider amending the future land use map for this area during that public hearing. So that's the status of these 2 cases. They are linked together. So staff is recommending denial of this rezoning application. It's not consistent with the comp plan and the future land use map at this time. It facilitates a high-density residential development that does not blend with the surrounding rural area. And just for some of that context, the existing residential that is in the area is primarily 1 acre or significantly greater than that lots. By a 7-2 vote, the Planning Commission likewise recommends denial. And as it relates to that other case, for the benefit of reminder to council and also the new members, that first case 2203 was also recommended for denial by staff and Planning Commission.
Thank you, Jonathan. Any questions for staff before we open public hearing?
I do.
Mr. Roddy?
If we don't approve this part right now, we're essentially denying the rezoning of the original that brought us to this point. Would you think that would be a fair assessment of this particular vote?
They would have to significantly revise their proposed plans and reduce the number of dwelling units in the overall park so that one entrance would be sufficient. Or they would have to redesign their current plan to perhaps put a second entrance in a different location.
So there would be an option to approve the original that brought us to this point, because in the previous discussion, we said and staff said they would like to see 2 entrances to this property. Now staff is not approving the second entrance. How is that fair to an applicant who stood here and we told them, if you can have a second entrance, it would make it a more palatable option for this project, and now we're saying no to the second entrance. I don't think we're playing fair when we're not approving an option.
They don't own that land yet.
This is for staff. This is for staff.
Yeah, so our recommendation of denial on both of these applications does not have to do whether they have a second entrance or not. It has to do with the level of density that is proposed for the overall project compared to with what the comprehensive plan recommends, which is rural residential.
Okay, now speaking of density, we're talking about 55 acres, correct, for the overall property? It's about 55 acres. With water and sewer on this property and the going rate of density per acre, how many homes, this is a question for you or David, how many homes could this applicant put on these 55 acres once he puts water and sewer to this property? Single-family home, stick-built.
Are you talking with the current zoning designation or with the?
If he's put water and sewer to this property today, he wants to come in and split it up into one of these mega neighborhoods that's going 0.2 acres a home, how many homes could he put on this acre?
Yeah, with the RUD zoning district, you're limited to 1 dwelling unit per acre?
No, with the water and sewer. With water and sewer is
With
different.
with or without water sewer, the density is the same.
So how many homes could he put on this?
If they're doing single.
Because we've had builders come in and take 55 acres and make a subdivision and cut it up and put single-family homes on 0.2, 0.3 acres, and we end up with 300 homes, 350 homes. With water and sewer, don't we allow more homes per acre if they have water and sewer? I've asked this question, I know the answer.
If the property is zoned for that purpose. If it's RUD, that is gonna be the restriction that
Yeah, so
allows
so
1 per acre.
let me rephrase the question. If he rezones it to RUD, with water and sewer, what does the acres go up to?
It is already zoned RUD. Well, this parcel is not. You're talking
No,
about the balance of the
the
property.
project.
Is already zoned RUD, which permits one lot per acre.
Well, what zoning would allow him to put more than 1 per
He
acre?
would have to rezone it to some other designation.
What's that designation?
Right, so any of the higher residential districts they increase each successive district. So the request for this rezoning tonight and the bulk of the property as part of the project is RMX 10. So that would allow them to have 10,000 square foot lots. And I don't recall off the top of my head what the maximum density, I believe it might be around 2.5 per acre for RMX 10.
Well, I was told earlier when I asked this question that with water and sewer, if he was to subdivide these lots, develop interior roads and all that, he could have up to 352 homes.
And I believe your question was single-family stick-built homes. So
Yeah.
there are different density allocations if you're doing a single-family detached home versus having a manufactured home park. And that's the proposal, is to have a manufactured home
Yeah.
park. So that's a much higher permissible density.
I'm getting at the density question, because that seems to be the issue with staff and other people, that they don't want to see, and I thought the number came down from 409, I thought we was around 380. But we've approved, what's the highest density with the zoning, a different zoning that will give him 352 homes? Because that number was given to me.
I'd have to see what that math calculation came out to and where it's coming from. I'm happy to research the question.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff?
Yes. So, Jonathan, what did you say, like, when is the applicant coming back? When is he gonna speak?
So as part of fulfilling the first reading approval condition, the applicant intends to speak at the public hearing for the comprehensive plan update. So that would be at the next council meeting.
On this or on his overall plan for the development he's doing?
On the overall plan, so in order to accommodate the level of density, not just for the project, but for the surrounding area, because density attracts density, the plan would have to account for that and take a look at how it impacts the immediate area and how it might project into the future with growth patterns. So that's likely what the applicant is going to request of council, to make a change to the future land use map to accommodate this level of density for this project.
So in essence, we got the cart a little bit before the horse on this, right? Because because it's just like Councilman Roddy said, if we approve or deny this, it's still relative to the other development, right? So,
Yeah, and I will say that the other rezoning has received approval for first reading. So if you all decide to do that for this request as well, that would put it on the same track timeline-wise. So they would both come to council again for second reading at the same time.
that would make it easier for me.
Yeah.
Mr. Atkins?
Well, I rode out there, which I grew up in this area, and first of all, I'm gonna tell you, don't no interest need to be right there where that curve is. That's a dangerous curve on Highway 5. You can't see coming around it and whatnot, but if I added right, that strip up through there, it ain't but about 29,000 square feet. It's about the width of 2 road ditches. I would pass it on the first, but I'd have to do some more investigating, because I ain't much for high density anything.
Any other questions for staff before we open up for public hearing?
Yeah, I would just recommend, again, just for clarity purposes, I want to make sure I heard it right. They're going to be coming back to you with a case of questions or requests that they're expecting to answer, as one of those would be, and I think that we touched upon it a little earlier, is that second entrance into there. Now, the density is too high for what is being requested, understood that, and if that's something that they're looking to address, would that be something they're looking to address, the lower the number of homes going in there?
I don't know if it's in the applicant's plans to make a reduction, depending on the outcome of these pair of rezonings. I believe the applicant is here to speak, so he might be able to shed some more light on that.
Okay, very good.
I guess the question I would have, Jonathan, is it does look like, in terms of determining that it's not consistent with the zoning, is it's surrounded entirely by RUD, and that general commercial is not currently being operated as that, as I understand it. So I don't know if general commercial, if that's going to have a use for that property. I think what Mr. Atkins was saying, but at this point, I think unless anybody has other questions, we'll open it up for public hearing. Okay. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak against this rezoning? If you'll come forward and give your name and address.
My name's James Jamison. I live at 2587 Poplar Crossing, which is probably a mile or so from there. You know, it's funny that we even considering this, considering about 9 months ago, and I live in a mobile home, so just so you understand that. I've got 10 acres, called zoning to ask about putting a third house there for my daughter, and was turned down. Of course, I guess if you're a business person, that's a different show, but I will say this also, that is a very, very dangerous place. I go by there twice a day, every day, sometimes 4 or 5 times a day. The traffic there is crazy. Coming in and out of there, it's crazy now, and it's going to be worse if they put a bunch of people in there. And I know that's another part of this, but we don't need to add to the problem there. just because somebody wants to come in and make a lot of money. And that's exactly what we're gonna be doing. I mean, you've got places there, and I live in one of them, that's mobile homes there, and they're 10 acres and 15 acres, and you're talking about putting 400 mobile homes there. That's crazy. That doesn't even make sense.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else who wishes to speak against?
Tommy Feemster, 2746 York Highway. I spoke last time when the original track was up for first reading. I guess since that time, I guess I would like to see more detail of how they're gonna handle traffic. At the end, I think a lot of it's, yeah, we might be able to get it in, we can't get it in, but there's nothing definite has been shown that it's gonna work with sight distance. The way the tracks are on the other side and future widening, I guess that's what I would have a concern with. If the road is ever widened to 5 lanes, you know, it's not gonna, it looks like it would widen to the opposite side, to the south side of 5, just to flatten that curve and get sight distance in. And I don't want that bumped up right up on it when at some point it gets widened to 5 lanes and then you're looking at that whole development. I live down at the bottom of the hill. I have concerns from my relatives who get out of their driveways, and if they widen symmetrically, then their driveways are gonna be even steeper getting out. When engineering-wise, it makes sense to widen to the inside of the curve. I just wanna see more detail and not talk about that they're gonna do this or they're gonna do that. Because eventually somebody's gotta approve the access. And I guess they're required to have 2, and where those 2 go, I don't know. Based on what's there now, it's not possible to get 2 access at that location.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak against? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor?
So this is Dr. Gray again, 407 Marshall Street, Rock Hill. I spoke when this first came up, and I sort of felt like you did, that this was sort of the cart before the horse, but I don't feel that way. I basically feel that this is a tennis match, and since Venus and Serena are no longer playing, I don't watch tennis and don't like it as much. I feel like this is a back and forth and a back and a forth and a back and a forth. He came here, he asked for certain things, and council at that particular time asked him to submit plans for the second entrance, and he's done that. And now you guys are tossing the ball back in his court, right? This is a Blythe site on your county, right? Councilman Bump did some research, and when we were here the last time, we talked about the density, and staff wasn't really able to come up with an answer at that particular time either. Like, what is the requirement? He's willing to put in water and sewage that would benefit your county to his dollar. He's willing to do that. I don't like bureaucracy. That's what you guys got to deal with. Right? That's what you were elected. This is a hard job right now. The question was brought up, what's this gonna do for the school system? I got that. You brought that up, I got it. I understand what this is gonna do, but this is the task that's at hand. What I'm not liking is this tennis match back and forth, where we're asking him for what he's willing to do, and yet we still have the problem of affordable housing. Let's bring that in. What I'm looking for council to do is the job that you were elected to do. Feelings out of it. This is hard. This is difficult. This is challenging. But that's why the people chose you, to do the hard job and not give the runaround. Not do the thing, I don't like this development, I don't ever want to live da-da-ba-da. This is hard. And I'm looking to you, I'm going to be showing up every week that you make sound judgments and do a hard job for the people that elected you to sit in these seats. While people like like this gentleman and that woman who wants to divide her family equally. Everybody deserves a fair choice at this. He did what you asked. Now I'm asking you, I don't have a dog or pony in that fight, but I'm asking you guys to do a hard job and do it fair and justly.
Christy Maloko, 975 McAfee Court. I'm here for approval of this first and secondary entrance and exit to our complex that's being redeveloped. Mr. Roddy, you said 55 acres. I'd like to correct it, it's 155 acres of the full parcel of land that we're looking at. So with that being said, I have my modular home that I rent at this time from the now property owner. I sit right at the very front. I get front entrance. I get to see it all. I get to hear the horns honk. I get to see them almost get hit when they stop to try to turn in, to make even a left-hand turn. In order to do it, you got people coming up on your behind, and you are turning in there at lickety-split speeds. If not, you get smacked. I get to hear them as the tires are screeching in the morning times and in the evening times. Even in the afternoon at our lowest times when the traffic is coming through there. These entrances will make it safe. I've seen the proposals on it. I've got the schematics on it. I'm keeping a really close eye on this thing, because I want to see this development come to fortitude. I want to see this new development to be built, because it will give an opportunity for our community to grow. Yes, are the parcels a little much? I agree, but give us a chance to show you guys the stages that we have, because if we can do that, at what we've got right now, what you have and what I've heard, right now, if he was to go in with what we've got, and I call it the septic swamp. I've got pictures of everything on it. The way that this all lays out, everything. What he has proposed is actual streets. It has no gravel. It has sidewalks. It has trails. My kids will actually be able to go outside and play safe. That's one of the things. You guys are talking about quality of life and everything else, opportunities. Give us, those people that are living in there right now, a fighting chance. Right now, if you guys disapprove this and we don't get the zoning, we don't have a dime to a dollar chance to stay in that complex the way it is. And the one that has it in her hands right at this time. She does not give a flying rat's behind to what's going on in there. I want to have this owner to get a chance at this. His proposals are doable. I have seen it in areas. I know how a manufactured complex lives and the way that the rules go. They're higher than an HOA, and I am absolutely for this. And if this has to be done to get us that, please let it be approved, and we can always adjust, you know, where the entrances are and everything else, as long as we get you guys' approval to just show you what we can do. Give us that opportunity. That's all I'm asking. Give my kids a chance to live in an actual home for once, instead of these rat traps that we've got. They're absolutely about to fall around our ears. And it upsets me to hear you guys, for a stick and a mortar, what we call bricks and mortar, y'all are up and approving them if they're $300,000. But yet we're asking for a manufactured community park that can be ran and shown that it can be affordable. It can give us an opportunity to give other communities, other people, our teachers, everything. We've had teachers come in who want to have places to live out here. Police officers that will be able to actually live in our community, in our county, that live right in there and make it safer. I understand right now, yeah, I don't let my children pass my doorstep to just go out the door, to go down to the end of that road to catch the bus. I stand out on my porch and wait for them to get off the bus to come back in. They don't leave my yard. They don't leave my four walls. And there's a reason for that, and we're giving our children a chance. And that's all we're asking. That's all we're asking for. Y'all need to think about that. The families that are affected up in there, the children that are affected up in there. We want better. And if you guys don't approve this, where are they gonna go? You're gonna give them a good enough opportunity to go into a $300,000 home? I doubt it. This gentleman is giving us that. And I would like that. I have fought and scrimped and scraped and shaved everything that I could to be able to get this. And I'm 47 years old. Don't I deserve that? As a working person of the society that we have today, don't take that away from me and my kids and my family and others that deserve this too.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor?
Good evening. I'm here to speak on behalf of my daughter and son-in-law who are unable to be here tonight. They live at 1025 McAfee Court. My name is Megan Lopez, and I've lived on McAfee Court for the past 3.5 years. After a serious health issue that nearly cost me my life, we were left evicted and nearly homeless. We desperately searched for a rental we could afford, and McAfee Court was our absolute last option before homelessness. Since moving here, we have continuously looked for something else due to the declining conditions, but quickly realized there was no affordable housing available in our area. Government housing has a 2+ year waiting list. An old, tiny 2-bedroom trailer currently rents for approximately $1,600 a month. And the homes that are affordable are being bought up by investors who are more often than not paying cash and then renting them out for crazy amounts of money that are not affordable to a lot of us. In my search, I've also learned of so many families that include children who are living in hotel rooms, sheds, old campers, and vans. Some are living 4 to 6 family members in a bedroom provided by another family member in their home. So what about us? Do we not deserve the same chance of possible home ownership? We can't afford a $300,000 home in a fancy neighborhood. Do we not deserve to raise our kids in a nice home that's not infested with rats and roaches? And they are. They are. They come in through the roofs, the walls, and the floors daily. Should we not be allowed to live in a house that the floors and roof is not falling in and the windows are broken out of on a daily basis? We understand that the surrounding homeowners are concerned about property values and aesthetic issues, but those of us that find ourselves in a different situation are just trying to survive in all that's left available to us. When we found out about the plans for McAfee Court and the new development, we were so hopeful that we would finally have a chance to buy an affordable home, but now we are quickly losing hope. These mobile homes are being built with the same quality of supplies that new mass-built homes are being built with in fancier neighborhoods. Just like stick-built homes, they can be moved, but likely never will be. I think that what scares people is that they're different shape than your average cookie-cutter home. Change scares people, but we have an affordable housing crisis right here in our own community, and it needs to be addressed. Please consider approving these plans so that those of us who desperately need and want to buy an affordable home are finally given the opportunity to do so.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? Do we have a...
Vincent Malco, 975 McAfee Court. I'm glad you have the maps up now that you can look at it. The rezoning on this would allow for a separate turn lane so they could cross traffic to come in. and it would allow a separate turn lane to come into the secondary entrance. This is not the primary entrance. This is only zoned for the secondary. So this spot would not get as much traffic as the primary, which is a little further around the corner and down the hill where it's a little more opened up already. Down the road a few miles, there's an elderly community where they have similar turn lanes set up. And in that elderly community where they have, I don't know how many residents in that facility, but that place is up and running. It's a beautiful area, by the way. But they have turn lanes, and it's right down the road, within a couple of miles. So I'm not sure how the traffic density in this property would affect the traffic overall compared to something that's already existing that has potentially more people coming and going. And it doesn't affect the properties necessarily behind there because both entrances are right on 5. It doesn't affect the neighborhoods. It's only the entrance in and out. And people are either gonna go left and go up into York or turn right to go to Rock Hill. I mean, I don't know why there's such a rezoning opposition to this. You know, there's a lot of people that need affordable housing, and this is a great starting point. I mean, maybe in the future you guys can see another development like this and really address the affordable housing. I mean, everybody would love to be in a fancy neighborhood where you've got a $250,000, $300,000 home. But the truth is a lot of us can't afford that. But we don't want to be renters our whole life. We'd like to be a homeowner. And this would give a lot of us an opportunity to make it a dream come true. So that's why I believe that this is the first step in getting the other part approved, because without this, having a safe entrance, then the other one says, well, you can't do this because you don't have a safe entrance. So, I mean, this is one of the things that I spoke about on the last meeting, because I said it would be great, but we would have to have a good entrance. And he wants to get this done. He's doing everything he can to accommodate in order to make this happen, to give a lot of people an opportunity to become homeowners. Now, it's not just a rental area where people can come in and rent and whatever. These people are gonna be purchasing these homes. They're gonna wanna take care of their homes. For a lot of people, this may be their first home purchase. And anybody that has to work for anything, they wanna take care of it. So I believe that if you guys approve this, that you guys will be happily surprised by the outcome. And I'm really baffled by why you guys are saying, like, so many people are opposed to this. I don't understand it, because there's a lot of development going on all over the county. Trees are being cut down. Neighborhoods are being ready to be put up everywhere. And everything's getting approved. But this modular home community, and it's not a mobile home park. It's a modular home neighborhood. And people need to get this mobile home out of their head, because it's not. It's a modular home. And I mean, and they're always talking about the density and the number of students coming in, the influx of this and that. There's no problem with all the other houses going up that are worth $300,000. I mean, is this just a money issue and not a people issue? Maybe it should be a people issue instead of a money issue. And that's all I have to say about it.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? If y'all would just keep coming so we can.
Good afternoon. My name is Sabrina Davis, 1028 McAfee Court. I've lived in that trailer park since 2015. I mean, I love it there, but we need to go through this. We need to pass it. You know, I'm half disabled. I have my mom that is disabled. Our mobile home ain't really safe. I mean, like, the lady was saying, you know, bugs, the roaches, I can't deal with that. I got grandbabies that's there, you know, and my daughter has asthma. We need a safe home. We need able to let all these kids enjoy their life instead of staying in four walls. You know, same thing with my grandkids. I have a fence-in front yard, okay? My grandkids cannot go out that fence without an adult. We need to get this passed, and we need to do it fast. Because in these driveways, you know, the two, let me tell you something. Driveway that's there, I don't know how many people got hit. I know my daughter-in-law, my grandbaby, and my son was in a car accident because they was trying to turn in the trailer park. There's people that's died trying to pull out, and you got these cars flying around the curve. I mean, please think about it. Pass it, because we all need a vote real quick, and we need a yes. Y'all have a nice night.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we,
Hey, y'all. Richard G., 136 Main Street, Pineville. It's been about 6 or 7 months. Grew my hair out in the meantime. But I've been hard at work trying to take y'all's feedback from the first meeting and, you know, improve the plan that we had. The images y'all saw are not the latest plans that we have. We did reduce the density to exactly 2.5 per acre. So it's about 387 is the total number. There's 63 existing entitled units now. There were more, they've gotten beat up. So there's about 30 there now, like you said. So the delta would be, you know, about 350 total once you take the whole 150 acres. It's about affordability. It's about taking what's already there. We're not changing the existing use of the property, but we're taking the manufactured home idea and making it clean, safe, reliable, professionally managed, and, you know, something that people can be proud to go home to. The idea is for them to own their own home, and they only rent the land so they can build equity in something, and then they can either sell it, they can move it, they can do what they want to, but they're not permanent renters forever. So that's the main idea. There are about 3 main takeaways that I had from the first meeting. The first one was obviously the entrance. So I think Councilman Guffey was one who pointed this out, but there's only one really usable entrance in the previous plan. And we did meet with some neighbors, and we revised it to take the homes further away from Highway 5 in case there was an expansion, like Tommy mentioned. And, you know, I sat down with the homeowner across the street there and talked about how we can make sure the curb is gonna not encroach into there and she doesn't have to turn and look up onto the road once there's an expansion. But we'd be adding that 3rd lane in the middle. So it's not gonna be the same road that's there now. There's gonna be a 3rd lane in the middle, turning lanes, right? There'll be one coming in and out for both sides. I think we're only required to do 2 lanes for one of the entrances, but we're gonna do it for both. Today I emailed y'all a sketch that we did of the proposed improvements so you can see exactly what the road would look like and how it would be safer for everyone in this area. The second takeaway, I think you mentioned the schools, right? You were saying, hey, I can't just have 400 new homes come in here and just crush our school systems, and I thought you had a great point. So I sat down with Superintendent Cox and her assistant Amy. We had a really, really good meeting. Would love for y'all to talk about it. I don't want to speak on her behalf, but you know, at the end of the day, teachers having an affordable place to live. And she actually pointed out that, you know, military communities are kind of like this, where they're manufactured, and that's how they kind of keep things affordable. But yeah, we had a great meeting. We kind of talked about where the bus stops would be. The plan that we had there actually was too circular in a lot of those areas for buses. So we went back to the drawing board. We said, okay, how can we do this in a way that buses can get through the whole area? We're gonna have bus stops in there for all the kids at, you know, the minimum distances so that, you know, kids don't have to walk too far to get to their bus stops in the morning. And again, you know, I think they were under the impression that we were gonna get this passed and then tomorrow we're gonna bring in 400 homes. It's not the case at all. It's gonna take us a year just to get the utilities there. So there's a big buffer. right? On top of that, we're not gonna slap all the homes down immediately. You know, obviously, I want it to be a great project. It's still a big risk for me. We're anticipating about 75 homes a year. So this is like a 5 to 6 year project. It's not gonna be all of a sudden we're sweeping everyone under the rug and, you know, dumping them into the school system. I asked for information about what the impact would be on schools, and she gave me like a multiplier, I guess they use for different types of houses. So the manufactured housing multiplier is below what single family is. It's the lowest one they have. So the total additional students per year would only be about 30, 35. And then across the entire lifespan of the project, it's about like 100 and, I think 150 was the maybe total number. And I emailed you all that today. I think I sent it to you, Karen. So again, I'm trying to, you know, take y'all's feedback and work with it. And then, Chairwoman, you mentioned the lagoons, how it could be a DHEC issue. I brought DHEC out there. We walked the whole property. We did a full inspection. There's a crushed pipe there. The utilization is really low, so it's not causing a leak. But if utilization were to increase, like I said, there's only 30 homes now. Under the full 60 homes, you know, it could be a hazard. But right now, there's no contamination or leakage. That's bad. But the lagoons are in really bad shape. Like I said last time, the lagoons were built in 1958. That's before the Clean Water Act. I think everyone wants to see those go away. They're really, really nasty. I hired the engineer, Joel Woods, who originally designed the lagoons. So we've been out there a bunch. We have a plan on how to repair them and get them fully up to modern specs in the meantime. So they'll be repaired in the meantime while we, hopefully you approve and hopefully we you know, get towards the development. And then also, you know, y'all didn't mention it, but I didn't say it the first time. I kind of want to talk about how I got here a little bit. I'm not some big national builder. You know, I'm from Charlotte. I grew up in Chester. We went back and forth. My old man, he made a company a few years ago where we'd go out and buy manufactured housing communities and we'd fix them up. And, you know, it's been solid over the last few years. We found this one and we originally passed on it because it was in too bad a shape. We just thought between the lagoons and the state that it was in, it was too big of a lift to fix. So we actually walked away from it about 2 years ago. And then a year ago, I was just thinking that instead of stitching together these old like parks from the 70s and 80s, why don't we, you know, do a modern version of this that's not just kind of patchwork together. It's something that I think we can all be, I want to be really proud of it. It's my first project. So the idea was, why don't we take something that's already there, you know, the mobile homes are going to be there no matter what. It's already in the backyard. So let's at least do something that, you know, we're proud of. And there's obviously no sewer and water there. You know, you have to have some level of scale to make it affordable. You know, I'd love for there to be utilities already and do something less, but at a certain point, I really can't reduce it anymore and keep it affordable, or it doesn't make sense. But like I said, you know, going down from 409 through 88, and you know, the idea is for everyone to own their own home. They just lease the land, and we want to have something that we're all proud of. So, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, sir. We just listen at this point.
Oh,
but
okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor?
Move to close.
Second. Motion and a second to close public hearing. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, public hearing is closed. Do we have a new motion?
I move to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a second. Can I make a comment?
Sure.
You seem surprised by that second.
Well, I think I guess I was waiting on the district representative to make a motion.
Since I was here when this originally came, I thought it was good leadership to step up to say why we should be looking to continue to move this forward. And I'll start off by saying to everyone sitting up here and everyone sitting out there, drive in McAfee when the sun's up before you say no to what's being proposed. Because if we're saying no to what's being proposed, we're saying yes to what you'll see when you go out there and see it. That's the easiest thing I can say to make you want to say yes to something new, something fresh, something different, something better. I drove out there. I met the family that lives in that first house, Christy and her husband. They're still there. They're committed to this community because this community is committed to them of providing them somewhere to stay, somewhere that's affordable, but it's not sustainable. There's no way any of us in this room can drive out there tonight or tomorrow when the sun's up and say this is okay over what's being proposed. So I challenge all my colleagues, at least drive up in this community as it sits right now. And if you come back in 2 weeks and still say this is okay, I'll respect that vote. But I guarantee you, my 12-year plus career sitting up here, that you would not come back and say what you see is okay to be in York County, and that this board supports that. I put my career on it. I have no interest in this community. I'm not a part of this community, but when you meet people that live there who come to this arena and say we want better, we could be on the other end of surrounding neighbors coming to say, this is so bad, how can y'all let this go on? You need to do something about it. But we have someone who's willing to make a significant investment. Because when you're talking about bringing water and sewer to a community, water and sewer is the most expensive thing to get to a property. We've done fee in lieu of tax agreements to help businesses get water and sewer. We've done fee in lieu tax agreements to help build roads, put water lines, sewer lines in to bring business. And here's an individual willing to invest his own personal money to take a trailer park, existing trailer park, which now it's a manufactured home park now, to make it better, to give people a better opportunity to raise their kids, their family, and have somewhere decent to live. And if you say yes to that, let me see you move into one of those existing trailers and bring your family to it and say it's okay. As opposed to someone who's standing at their front door saying, hey, I can offer something better for this community. I challenge you. I've done it. I went there. And I was immediately sold on what Richard wants to do in this community. And he's not asking York County to give him a tax break. He's not asking us to build any roads. He's not asking us to lay not one pipe for his water sewer. And I was off on my calculations when I was speaking of 55 acres because all of that property doesn't need to be rezoned, but the total being 155 acres. And if you do the math on 155 and 2.5 per acre, that gets us up around 350. He can put 350 stick-built homes there with the water sewer at the 2.5 homes per acre. And what gets me is that the trailers or mobile homes are there now. It's not like someone's coming to say, let's change this community to a mobile home community. It's being asked of us, York County, can I make this better for the people that live here and the people that's gonna come here? And if we're gonna say no to that, we need to line up the no's because there are a lot of things that we need to be saying no to over something like this. I was making some notes. This entrance is vital to the success of this even being approved because 2 entrances is always better than 1. Now, there are some things that can be done, obviously, and we can't sit here and say, well, what if the road is widened 10 years from down the road? Well, if the road's widened 10 years down the road, it makes it even better. But when we tell a builder or a developer, and it's not about money, he's always spoken about affordability. Nobody comes to this community to bring a business, do a development, without some kind of profit in mind. The company I work for doesn't hire me because they like me. The company hires me to do a job so that they can pay me so they can make money. So let's throw out all the things about people doing things in this community just to make money. No company moves here, nobody builds here, nobody moves here and says I'm doing this for the good of the community or just to offer a place to live. Let's stop that. Let's don't use that as a measuring stick because we've had developers come in here and mass grade, build 600 houses, and we don't question how much they're gonna make. Not one dime do we question how much they're gonna make. Not one question comes up, how much are you invested? I love to bring him back up here and ask him, how much is it gonna cost to get water and sewer there? How much is it gonna cost to do curb and gutter? How much is it gonna cost to redo that lagoon that's in the back? We don't question the expenses going in, but we get people coming saying, people coming here to make money. with the manufactured home dealer is not gonna give you a mobile home just because he likes you. He's in business to make money. The person that's gonna pave that road is in business to make money. The person who provides the utilities, whether it's York Co-op, the city of York, they're in business to make money. Let's don't use the fact that someone is possibly gonna make something off their investment as a reason for us to say no. The other thing I put down was my question to the neighbors. Are you better off with what you got now, or will you be better off if we approve this and do something totally different and make it totally better? And I think the answer would be, we'll be better off if something is done to what we see now. And I see someone shaking their head, and it is not about that personal, but this piece of property can remain the way it is now, or we can allow somebody to do something different and something better. And if we're not doing anything different or better, then we're sitting still and things are getting worse. And I beg my colleagues, before you vote no tonight or the next 2 weeks, drive out there, drive up in there, and ask yourself the personal question. Do I think this is acceptable, and would I move my family here, or would I want something better that's being offered? I hope you support it.
So, again, this being first reading, I think it's important that, you know, as we look at things, again, we have 3 readings in order to approve. There appears to be a lot of work that's been done on this thing, and there's appear to be a lot more work that they're looking at addressing. I have many different questions the next go around on second reading. But I am interested to see what they do come back with for second reading and in the work that they're going to put into it prior to second reading. So tonight I will be supporting the first reading.
Mr. Atkins?
Well, I support the first reading on it, but there's 2 things I want to know. One, with all that they're going to do, what are the numbers there that are saying this is going to be low-income housing? Because there's going to be a lot that has to be done. Where this piece of land is here is an old road bed that previously existed. But I've lived in this neighborhood all my life, and I can tell you right now, a lot of this curb and on down the hill where it starts and comes up into this curb will have to be took out, or it never will be safe there, especially for no 300 and some people moving in. So this little 29,000 square foot of land here, the road's gonna eat every bit of that up anyway. But I pass it, but I still have some questions about it.
Okay,
Ms.
I'm going to support the first reading, and I do feel a little bit better. I do have a little background on this project, and I did have a lot of concerns before, but I do feel a little bit better about the fact that, as the gentleman said, you know, it's not going to all be built in 1 year. It's going to take him about 5 or 6 years to do all of this. And I think that with doing that, it's going to help the surrounding community, to the neighbors, for you guys to be able to, I hate to say get used to it, but it won't be as, I feel like just a bam, it's an impact right away. And especially on the school system. I am concerned about the second entrance and would like to see a little more. In fact, I wanted to have a slide go backwards to where the slide was, where you had the 2 entrances for the community. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so I still just have questions on the entrance, but I do think that, and then there was a question that I had that they will own this and they can move it. Did I hear that correctly? That
Everyone that moves in will own their manufactured home. the developer will still own the land, the streets and everything that comes with the development, but there would not be any rental units on this property.
Right.
And a little bit about how we are able to do some things, we can stipulate, we can put that in the agreement, in
Okay.
the passage there.
And then my other concern are the folks that live there currently. How I would want you guys to have a good transition with construction from where you live. I mean, I don't know how that's gonna work out, and I'm sure you have a plan, but I haven't heard that plan. So that was my other concern.
Yeah, there's so much I want to say, and I said a part of this the last time this came up, but I'm going to tell you that the root of my reason for sitting right here is not those people that live in the $350,000 homes and up. It's the people that live like these folks live. I've been there. I've been through this neighborhood. I can't believe how these people are living, and I agree with part of what you've said. I agree with all of what you've said. And I think this is what I said before, and some of you will remember this, and you probably thought, oh my gosh, you probably walked out thinking, oh my God, she's horrible. I represent the people. And the people that I represent best are the people that have no other representation, because they can't afford an attorney. They maybe didn't go to school. They don't have the know-how to represent themselves or to get someone else to represent them. And that is why I sit on this council. And you can ask the people in District 2 that question. It's not to slow development. That's part of it. But my main goal is to represent the people. And it can be any person in York County. So it can be the people that live across from the Feamsters, who my grandmother and grandfather lived right down the road from, and we know very well. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to counter what I just said. In representing those people, the most important thing to me is to be sure that they're not taken advantage of, ever. So what I want to do, and I'm willing to do, is we can do it at the workshop or whenever we meet again. But I watch people come up here to this stand, and I've watched it tonight with hope. I drive past people when I'm out campaigning. They got a Trump sign in their front yard because he gave them hope. And I'm just using this as an example, because what they live in my district, in Lake Wiley, not Clover, but in Lake Wiley, is a trailer that has no doors. When I first got on council, the first thing I did was go out to some of the bars in Lake Wiley, hang out, figured I'd go out there and get to know people. And you know what I ended up doing? Driving them home. And one night, because they had had too much to drink, and the one that rings the bell was the man, not his wife or his girlfriend, but the man who had a little girl who had had too much to drink. And when I went out to his pickup truck, I got in it and I drove him home to a trailer that had nothing. And I've worried about that little girl ever since. So I understand the hope that you feel. But the most important thing that this council can do for you is be sure that when this is built, if and when this is built, you're able to actually afford to live there yourselves. And that is my number one goal. So I'm going to ask you some questions at some point, because I'll come out there. I don't want to come in your houses because I've seen them. You got trash piled up all the way up. You know what? To the top of these trailers, there's black trash bags. There are dogs chained in the yards. I don't know how they get in and out because the road is washed so bad. The person who should be totally ashamed of themselves is the person that owns that property today. There is no excuse for that person, and that is why these people live the way that they do, because of that person. So I'm all for helping everybody that I can possibly help, but I want to be sure that we're doing the right thing. And at the same time, we're not limited to this one parcel being our affordable housing. So we've got people who in good faith bought acre-plus lots who live right behind you, and they don't want to be living adjacent to something that could become what it is today. You know, so they don't want more of the same thing, and I wouldn't want more of the same thing for them. So to me, the most important thing is, and you can arrange this, you can arrange this, Norma, whoever, is I want to meet some of the people that live there now, and I want to know: do you work? Do you have enough money to afford what you've been promised? Because this is the promised land. I want to know. And when I'm comfortable knowing that the people who live there today will still be able to live there when the first 75 homes are built, then I'll be comfortable with it. And right now, it doesn't matter to me where the entrance is. I'll approve this tonight because I think we have to have this to get to the next step. But that would be my goal. I think differently than a lot of the people up here and probably a lot of people in this room. But my goal is to help the people and to be sure that when I make a decision on their behalf, we're gonna see it through.
I'll round this out. We've talked a lot tonight about something that's not even on the agenda. I mean, we're talking about, what's on the agenda tonight? It's 0.68 acres that somebody's asking to rezone from general commercial, which doesn't look like it fits there, to RMX 10, which is high density. And so it seemed like if somebody was gonna rezone it, it would go to RUD. I do think it makes sense to have this combined with the other rezoning. So I will support first reading on this, but I'm very concerned, and I said this at the outset, we need to hold owners accountable. They need to comply with the laws that are before them, and you don't go approve high density more than what it's allowed 2.5 times because they're not doing their job first. I think what council had demanded and what we asked for was that with these lagoons and with these water situations, that if they were out of compliance and if they were creating a problem, they need to do that now. They need to do that now. All of these things that I've heard some of the folks come up in front of us, this is years away from you. You're still gonna have this issue for years and years, even if the council and your district representative moves ahead. That is a problem, and I think they're two distinct issues. Now, thankfully, you know, it does seem like that these folks are coming in to try and fix something that was done, but I think to go to RMX 10 is an issue, and I think that's the concern that folks have is, so you're currently allowed RUD, which is 1-to-1, at most maybe 160. That's not even including whatever setbacks you would have to at least 400, or approving a rezoning that would actually allow 1,200, but there's a promise of 300. So I think there's a lot of questions that will have to be answered, including the ones that, is this truly gonna be something where folks can afford it? But I do agree with the proposition that these rezonings need to be running together. We need to have the discussion about all of these things and actually have it in front of us. So I'll support first reading. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
You think we can get something on a workshop so that we can hear a total plan for what's going on?
I think since it's part of the comp plan, that's probably already included in what we're going to be doing on the 10th. But I think this is going to be one of the issues we want to spend a little bit of time on when we have our workshop on the 10th.
Yeah, we can certainly do that.
Thank you. We do not have any old business. We move now to new business. Council to approve first reading of an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of tax agreement and incentive agreement by and between York County, South Carolina, and with one or more companies presently identified collectively under the code name Project Tullamore, which includes certain credits against fee in lieu of tax payments for certain investments in infrastructure and other matters related thereto.
Move to approve by title only.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Item number 2, council to consider first reading of an ordinance to adopt a 5-year update to York Forward, the York County Comprehensive Plan, including amendments to the future land use map, all plan elements and appendices pursuant to the South Carolina Local Government Comprehensive Planning Enabling Act of 1994, to hold a public hearing and to provide for other matters related thereto.
Move to approve with the recommendations from Planning Commission.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We do not have any committee and other reports. Do we have any council member new non-agenda comments? Ms. Love.
I just want to let everybody know I'm not still driving people home. So don't plan on me showing up and giving you a ride.
Give me a ride.
I know. My phone started buzzing. I thought, oh my gosh, I gotta pick somebody up. Oh my goodness. So I kind of thought that was what my role was when I first got on council, and I went right into it with that. So ultimately, what my role is as a council member is to represent what the people want. And I do that by listening to the people, hearing from the people, talking to the people, listening to the people. And, you know, then I come here and I have to make a decision based on what I feel like the majority of the people who live in District 2 want. Quality of life is very high on my list, and so when they are looking for something that's going to make quality of life better for everybody in District 2 and York County, then that's always a plus for me. So I fail to realize that our council non-member comments were before a presentation that you're going to be hearing in a few minutes from someone who would love to be able to put a car wash in Lake Wylie. And so I've worked very hard for the past few years putting the Lake Wylie overlay together. And that overlay is packed with things that people want and things that people don't want. Trust me, I didn't get everything I wanted in the overlay because Jonathan and county manager held me at bay on a few things. But one of the things that is in that overlay, which we expanded, that was a big plus. We expanded that to cover not just the Highway 49 corridor, but all the way up to Allison Creek Road and to the North Carolina state line. So, as you know, if you've been through Lake Wylie, we have a lot of car washes. There's no excuse for anybody to have a dirty car in Lake Wylie. Don't look at mine. There are lots and lots of storage units and fast food restaurants and oil change places. So this is one of the items that I worked on for a very long time with management and staff and council who supported the idea of putting this in the overlay to limit the proximity of multiple uses, meaning, you know, 5 or 6 car washes in a 3-mile stretch, or that's a lot. So I just wanted to say that, number one, I do appreciate this person coming to me to ask me and to talk to me about what their plans are. And I felt like it was an important thing for me, not always, but often, to be sure that I've got my thumb on the pulse, my finger on the pulse of the district that I represent. And in this case, we're talking about Lake Wylie. So I did a little poll, and I did the county doesn't get as many responses as I got on this poll. So this was a great page, and I appreciate the people who are the admins of the Lake Wylie Neighborhood Watch page allowing me to do a poll. But by the time I left today to come to this meeting, there had been 1,400 responses. Imagine getting that when we try to do something. You know, we do a lot of public opinion things to try to find out what people want in the county. 1,400 responses were a lot. 1,377 no's for an additional car wash in Lake Wylie and 15 yeses. 98% of that is a no. So I think the presentation is great, but I just want everybody to understand how hard we've worked to get this overlay, to make this overlay work for Lake Wylie. And my goal next year is to propose an overlay for the unincorporated area of Clover as well. So just go ahead and put that out there. Like I said, it's going to be a Happy New Year. But anyway, so I again want to welcome our new members. I'm very excited to have my good friend Debbie Cloninger up here. Tommy Adkins is my new friend. And again, Bump Roddy is my old friend who's been here for a very long time. Congratulations on being chair again. And yes. And Tom, it's just me and you right here. We get to sit beside the chair, right?
There you go.
So yeah. So anyway, we're looking forward to a great year, and I think we're going to accomplish a lot of really good stuff. And when I count my blessings, I count the people who actually run this county, and that would be our management and staff. And it's we don't have a job without them. So. We do have a job, thank goodness. Thank you for that, David. So, Mr. Roddy.
I see I've taken back seat to the new non-agenda comments that's usually
No, you
reserved for me. I just want to start off by saying that I hope this first night to our new colleagues was a warm reception, because it gets better. But this just shows you how tense or intense these meetings can be, how serious they are, the magnitude that we can impact or not impact certain people. it's not an easy job, just as Dr. Gray said when she stood up and spoke. This is not an easy job. And I'll say this, none of us sitting up here takes any decision lightly. We should take it to the heart and take it for what it means to everyone involved. And I know I can speak for my colleagues. We do our best to make the best decision and not just rubber stamping. There's some emotions involved in a lot of decisions that we make. There's a lot of emotions involved. But tonight, just want to say welcome to our two new colleagues. Look forward to what this year and the next 4 years is going to bring for all of us. I do have one request of staff. When we're doing these fee in lieu of tax agreements, could we include the amount of taxes that will be paid to everyone for the fee in lieu, where the money's going? Because there's been some questions brought up about our fee in lieus taking money from different entities, i.e. our schools across York County and in respective school districts. So I would like to start getting a feel for what the current taxes going to the school for that particular property and what the new taxes going to the schools will be by inviting a new company to our community to see what's the difference. Because I remember a big project we were all looking forward to. The taxes on the property was very low, and with the company coming in, schools were set to get even more. Just want to start seeing and showing a comparison of what our schools are getting off a piece of property versus what they will be getting by new business coming in spite of us doing a fee in lieu tax agreement. I think that's some good information that we could know and understand, and if we're asked, we can certainly defend what we're doing by showing a different pot of money going towards our schools and what the county will be getting and so forth. And the other thing I wanted to point out was the reason why I'm wearing this mask. I'm on my second round of COVID-19 and got a scare. She was the first person I called and let know what was going on. I'm on my second round, and when it happened, you know, we can still continue to social distance, wash our hands, and take precautions, and get vaccinated, and walk our dog 3 times a day, and pray as much as we want to. But certain things are still prevalent in this community and in this world. So I want to encourage everybody to continue to do any and everything humanly possible that you feel is necessary to protect yourself and protect your loved ones. Last time I was in the hospital for 7-8 days, didn't know if I was coming home. I thought I was going to go down that same road again, but I didn't have to. I acted quickly. Got some medicine prescribed to me. I finished up my last round of meds today. My 5 days are up. Feel really good. I didn't know if I was going to even make it to this part of the meeting tonight. But I was asked and told that I needed to start the meeting off so that we can elect the chair, so we can elect the vice chair. So I took one for the team, and I stomached through this meeting. I had my little rag up here just in case I started sweating. But just know that COVID-19 is still out there. Please, ma'am, please, sir, colleagues, protect yourself because it's still real. The media's not reporting on it like they probably should be. They're not reporting numbers like they used to be. But it's still happening. It's still happening. So that's my New Year's speech and spiel to everyone. Protect yourself and your loved ones. And Happy New Year.
Mr. Audette?
Yeah, so about a year ago, I started working on an issue that I saw in Fort Mill, TK, and Lake Wiley, which was we have elderly and disabled that have issues getting to doctor's appointments, going to the pharmacy, going grocery shopping. And the challenge was that other parts of the county had access to it, and that's access transportation. So for the last year, I've been working with RFATS, and we have been pushing to get access through the Council of Aging to access transportation to Fort Mill, TK, and Lake Wiley, and we were able to accomplish that. It's starting as of January 9th, okay? It's the first time, and it's an on-demand service, and this is the first time we've had it countywide for elderly and disabled. They would just make a phone call. They can pre-schedule their rides to the doctor's appointments, pharmacy, grocery stores. If you're disabled, there's a lift in the vehicle. They'll lift you, and it's excellent. So I'm going to share the phone number so everybody can get it. It's 803-327-6694, option 2. You can start scheduling those rides now for January 9th. I want to share that with y'all.
Can you repeat that number one more time?
Yeah, 803, let me, there you go. Hey, I'll do it for you one more time. Yeah, one more time. 803-327-6694, option 2. Excellent.
Ms. Cloninger?
Yes, okay. So in all my thanking of everybody, I did leave some very, very important people out. And I want to thank the management, the staff, my fellow colleagues for being a part of the most awesome group of people. It's been short time I have been around, but I felt equipped coming here today. I was nervous, but I felt equipped. Great orientation by the county, a wonderful orientation by the state. So York County, it's the best. And as Bump said over in the other building, people have got to envy us. We have the best sheriff. We have the best fire department. Fort Mill 5, yay. And I
Careful now.
I know I got some other fire guys. I love you guys too. I do. But I did want to thank all of you guys for welcoming us, or me. I don't know about him, and the great, just the great knowledge that we have gained, or that I have gained. So thank you so much.
You certainly can speak. You don't have to. We don't have to set the standard that everybody has to speak, but you're welcome to speak, Mr. Atkins.
Well, I talk all the time.
I know.
Well, I guess I could say thank you to everybody that helped me get here. Lee, I appreciate, I don't know how many of y'all know Lee Good. He's known me all my life, and he's sitting out there.
I'm not here to support you.
The Gill Fiddlings, a lot of different ones in the community that's called me. All their help, and I'm sure a lot more of their help. Mainly Carolyn, though, because that's where she did more than I did.
You know what? I think she needs a hand, is what I think. I think Carolyn Atkins needs a hand.
Well, I mean, farm wives, they pretty well.
I think
all
she,
way around.
Yeah, I think she's awesome.
Yeah. But no, I just thank everybody.
One thing I did notice on the agenda, and I would like to change this now, is let's take the council member new non-agenda comments and let's move that after citizen concerns. One of the things that not a lot of folks want to come out and do citizen concerns because it's all the way at the end of the agenda, but I think we could probably at least push that up a little bit in the future. So if we can change that, I want to move ahead with that. I will say, let's go ahead and hear from Mr. Kangalusi. I know I butchered it. I'm sorry. If you can come forward and give your name and address.
I'm Gary Cangelosi. I live at 17510 Langston Drive in Charlotte. I did meet with Allison, and I wish the 1,400 people were here. But I'd like to propose a text amendment to the Lake Wylie Overlay District that requires a 660-foot separation between automotive uses. Are y'all seeing the slides? Okay. The stated purpose of the district is to create a mix of land uses that minimize the adverse impacts on the existing transportation network and to foster opportunities for distinctive pedestrian-oriented development. Next slide. Do I have so this one? Okay, got it. I'm the developer of Kenton Place in the Lake Normandy region, which is a 100-acre mixed-use neo-traditional development next to Burkdale Village. It's a pedestrian-friendly development with sidewalks along a tree-lined boulevard with retail, office, and residential. As a developer, I studied architecture at Tulane University, so I've always made sure that my developments were of the highest quality architecturally. This is a pedestrian-friendly multifamily project at Kenton Place with a landscape park in the center with the buildings fronting the street and the boat parking in the rear. The project includes 3 Class A office buildings oriented around a beautiful circle. But with the pandemic causing people to work remote, the office market has been soft. This past year, I formed a joint venture with an experienced express car wash operator out of Tampa, Florida. I'm getting over laryngitis, so pardon my voice gets a little raspy. We want to build a small chain of express car wash in the Charlotte region, similar to the Sam's Express car wash. The industry contains several different business models. There are the older self-wash facilities, which are no longer being built and will all eventually be torn down and sold for their land value. Then there are the short tunnels associated with gas stations. But these facilities use cheap abrasive brushes and harsh chemicals, which can damage the car's clear coat and paint. The Autobell model is a hybrid, where the car goes through a short tunnel and a large number of workers will dry and vacuum the customer's car. But this model is also becoming obsolete because of expensive labor that is getting difficult to find, combined with the fact that many customers do not want workers rummaging through their car. The industry is rapidly moving to the express model, similar to our Sam's Express. The long robotic tunnel does a really good job of cleaning, waxing, and drying the car, and customers love the free, powerful vacuums. And instead of having to take 30 minutes to wash one's car in one's driveway, a car wash can be cleaned and waxed in just 3 minutes without all the hassle. Everyone likes a clean, shiny car, and people love the experience of taking their cars through an express car wash, especially children. Local communities want pedestrian-oriented developments like Kenton Place. But with 280 million cars in the U.S., and most people living in the suburban communities, automobile service are needed in every community. And good regional planning would be to separate and cluster these users rather than commingling them. I'm talking fast because I got to get this done in 10 minutes. For example, I'm working on a project on Mount Gallant Road across from the Food Line Shopping Center, which combines our express car wash with the Christian Brothers Automotive Service operation. This allows for compatible uses to be accessed off of one curb cut and entrance drive. And whenever there's a large enough site, Sam's Express will combine the car wash with a gas station with a single entrance drive. This site near the Buster Boy Bridge can wash 12,000 cars per month, with 25% or 3,000 of their customers also filling up their tanks with gas. If they had separate entrances, that would add an additional 3,000 cars per month entering and exiting Charlotte Highway. And as this section of Charlotte Highway next to the 7-Eleven and the coming U-Haul storage demonstrates, too many curb cuts are highly disruptive to the flow of traffic on this commercial corridor, and it's a major reason for its congestion. It's also extremely dangerous because cars are constantly using the suicide lane in the middle to turn into and out of the large number of disconnected entrance lanes. Unfortunately, as this area of Lake Norman has grown, it has seen a haphazard mix of automotive services mixed in with big box retailers, grocery stores, fast food restaurants, with a chaotic blend of pedestrian-friendly office and retail buildings. Local citizens are now complaining about the suburban sprawl and the lack of aesthetics from all these automotive services scattered along this corridor. But these businesses serving the local bedroom community are due to the incredible demand coming from the 36,000 cars a day driving on this road. Are there too many of these service businesses? Maybe, but I would caution the local government about attempting to regulate the economics of this marketplace to determine when it is overbuilt. The operators of automotive services only add these businesses based on the needs of the local community. Otherwise, the business will fail, and they could lose millions of dollars. If the county wanted to micromanage this industry or any other industry, then the planning department would have to hire a large staff of expert economists and statisticians to know the ins and outs of all of these businesses. Excuse me 1 second. This region of the Lake Wylie area has a Sam's Express along Charlotte Highway and a future Take 5 car wash coming to the site next to Walmart. But there are no express car washes to the south along Charlotte Highway, with 31,000 cars a day. We had experts in the industry do a sophisticated market analysis to determine if the rooftops to the south could support another express car wash. They determined the trade area in yellow would include a population of 23,500 that extended from the YMCA to the north, to India Hook to the south, to Clover to the west. The conclusion was that these homeowners that travel past the 7-Eleven on a regular basis were seriously underserved with an express car wash and needed one with convenient access to their homes. We found a parcel of land next to the 7-Eleven at the corner of Charlotte Highway and Highway 55 leading to Clover. It wraps around the 7-Eleven. What made this site ideal was that it was at a signalized intersection, and it shared an entrance with the 7-Eleven off the side road and a right in and right out off the Charlotte Highway. I drew a site plan that took advantage of the shared drives in and out of the 7-Eleven. A customer can conveniently get their car washed and then fill up their gas without having to re-enter the highway. Many homeowners in the area will fill up their car once a week, as well as wash their car at the same time, making this an ideal combination from a planning standpoint. Unfortunately, the Lake Wylie Overlay District requires a car wash to be 660 feet away from a gas station. As such, we would be forced to locate a parcel of land somewhere else near this intersection. And rather than preventing further traffic congestion, the separation requirement will make traffic much worse because of the extra curb cuts. And if these homeowners are forced to go to the new Take 5 or the Sam's Express car wash, it will add a great deal of unnecessary congestion to the intersection near the public shopping center. And with this intersection already congested, that's the last thing the county want to see happen. My voice is giving out, so I'm almost finished. Furthermore, as the remaining parcels of land between these automotive services businesses are developed with office and retail businesses, rather than making the area more pedestrian-friendly, the separation requirement will make this area less pedestrian-oriented because of the chaotic blending of these uses. And it could create the very kind of suburban sprawl that exists near the public shopping center that the county is trying to prevent. If the county's objective is to reduce traffic congestion and preserve commercial land for future pedestrian-friendly development, automobile users should be encouraged to be clustered and adjacent to each other, not required to be separated. This allows the remaining commercial land in the area to have a pedestrian orientation. To achieve this objective, I would like to propose the following text amendment. If a car wash is adjacent to the gas station, then it would not have to be separated by 660 feet. Thank you for your time. I am available
Thank
for
you, sir.
questions. Anybody any questions, I'm available.
Thank you. I do not believe that we have any items for executive session. I'm looking at our lawyer. Okay, just making sure. We have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.